Do I need this on? I don't think I do.
Where's the Zoom at?
Right here. As long as this is
Oh,
on.
okay. We're fine.
Yeah, what's up? Zoomy Zoom. We're live on our YouTube, Instagram. We don't own the rights to none of this music. Our oldest was like, we need to put some Jesus songs on. I'm like, we do. You just don't be, you be asleep. So we just, in honor of him, we're toning it up. So what's up? Yes, guys, this is my favorite, one of my favorite shirts because I think this is Brandon. This is extra large.
Yes.
And it fits so comfortable with this growing, healthy boy that y'all about to see it as a uniform because it's so comfortable instead of being tight with our mirrored shirt. So, and the colors look so amazing, red and orange,
Yes,
don't they?
Don't they?
Won't he do it? Anyways.
So bright for you guys today.
Very. You gotta move back, babe. You're like way close, like to
And,
this. Move back. We don't want the rest of this music. Okay, it's done. Thank you. Next. Y'all know I can't stand talking over music. Let's jump right in. Happy Monday. Marriage Monday. Money Monday. Mindset Monday. What else? What else?
Magical Monday.
Oh, you always come up with some freak stuff. Magic Monday.
Freak stuff.
Let's
Get
go.
out of here.
Magic Monday. Shoot, turn up. Anyways, so let's jump right in. As you guys can see the title. So we're back in the A. We were kind of like all over. We just did a surprise. We just got away. We did some country, real deal RV thing with the kids. A little bit of camping / RV / business / family time. And it was Alabama, and then from there, you guys saw some videos and pictures. We went down to the beach. We were so close.
Well, first,
What?
we both never been to Alabama.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we've been through it for a
We have?
second. Yeah, when we went to Santa Rosa.
Oh, we go through it?
Yeah.
I thought it was straight down.
Yeah, I think we go through Dolphin.
Like a little canyon?
Yeah,
Okay.
little piece of Alabama. But this time we was really in Alabama. We was
In
actually
the country, y'all. I thought
started
Brandon was
off-
country.
we all actually started off in Montgomery.
Yes, because I had to pause because the doctor told me I have to stop, walk, make sure I have my water, And y'all know I got the socks with my shorts. I sure do. I was out there with the socks.
With
Thank
the
you for Be
compression
Light.
socks.
Go check out Be Light, man. Those are the socks that saving my life. And then
So, one thing, we had to do a little history stop for
Francisco.
Mrs. Ayala and Francisco.
Not me.
Yes.
Why me? Oh, you wanted me to learn.
Yes.
I know. I just don't be involved.
Yes. So she didn't know how much of the civil rights movement took place in Montgomery.
All I knew is I knew some things. One of the main things that struck out to me before I got there was that isn't that where Martin Luther King got killed?
What, the hotel?
No, the town, the city, the state.
No.
Did he get killed in Alabama?
No.
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Where did Martin Luther King get killed, y'all? Someone please answer this. I could have sworn it was in Montgomery.
Okay.
It's not?
No.
I'm going to look this up while we talk because I could have sworn that was the case. And that's why I told Brandon, like, dude, it might be a little bit too country. And I don't know about the racism. I wasn't too sure. No offense to any Bama folks on here. I was just kind of like, I'm not too sure.
Well,
But anyways.
fun fact was that we learned while we was out.
Oh, we jumped into Mardi Gras.
Yes. We did learn that Mardi Gras originated in
Which we didn't know.
Mobile, Alabama.
Because we went to Mobile, that was our destination. And it was so country. I was like, I thought Brandon was country. Whew. Brandon is actually not that country. It was a lot happening. And then we stayed at the camper, which I thought was super cute. Brandon was like, not really. It was a nice one though. It was actually very modern, very cool. The boys loved it. They had a great time. And then from there, I was like, we are way too close to not go down to the beach. So we did, to Pensacola. And it was pretty. The weather was nice. The beach wasn't bad. Actually, I liked the beach. It was actually really nice.
I think he was killed in Tennessee for some reason. Why would you say
I'm about
Tennessee?
to find out. No, I could have sworn. I liked history class back in the day. So, anyways, go ahead.
It's gonna make me look bad. But I thought it was in Tennessee for some reason. I don't know why.
Well, let's jump into our call while we investigate.
Yes.
You guys see the title because you know the Wi-Fi kind of goes funny with this tablet. You guys see the title, Restoration and Marriage, and this internet really irritates me. Is your internet off?
Yes.
Okay. Well, you can go ahead and start us off. What do you have going on?
So you was in the Kingdom Marriage and it went over restoration and marriage, right?
Yeah, remember I told you to look it up.
Okay. And so, how did that initially kick off?
Well, okay, so as I mentioned on one of my videos, yeah, no, it's not working. It's being retarded. As I mentioned in my story that I was gonna get into, is one of the most struggle area in marriage when it comes to restoration. One of the facts is forgiveness. So obviously, if you think about it, what are you restoring? Something that either happened, something you lost, some trust, something. But the biggest key is forgiveness. That's the toughest thing to have and restore in your marriage.
Right.
It says right here, what does it say? Anytime you look at a situation that you believe to be irreversible, even though God says otherwise, you are dealing with a stronghold. So now you have now you have a stronghold in your marriage, which it says only, this is dumb, only spiritual weapons can defeat spiritual strongholds. That was good. I haven't thought about that. Only spiritual weapons. What is a spiritual weapon? Well, for some of us, like myself, would be the Bible, the weapon, the scriptures, the word, understanding. We've been studying the armor of God on my morning calls, and it goes into, we actually just today got into the word, you know, using it as a sword, using it as an offense versus a defense. Are you serious? So go ahead while this loads because I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I had to go back into Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, that is a real big deal right there. Is let me say it right because I'm trying to fix my mouth to say it right. Restoration.
Yep, that's how you get it.
So it's a big deal is because the definition which I researched was to heal and repair, right? And so when you healing and repair, right, you got to think about that. You're working on.
So what's Tennessee?
Yes, yeah, I thought it was.
Assassination of Martin Luther King was Memphis, Tennessee.
Yeah.
What was the hotel at?
I don't know. I remember a long time ago when I thought it was Tennessee.
Hotel in Memphis.
Yeah.
Okay, I was way off.
So when you're healing and you're repairing, you're returning something. You're bringing it back to its previous state.
Mm-hmm.
So it can function the way it used to function.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard in a lot of marriages. That's hard, period.
So you said restoring, it deals with healing?
Healing and repairing.
Repairing, okay.
So if you think about something, right? To heal something, or like say you got a wound on your arm.
Oh, won't he do it? That's the last part on this page.
And it
is. It goes over a cut. Like when you have a cut, and if you're just like, oh, let me just put something over it, and that's it.
Yes.
If someone grabs you and touches it, it still has pain. It still hurts because now it's growing. It might be growing by antibacterias and different things.
Or it might get infected if it don't
there
heal
goes,
right.
That's the word.
It might get infected if it don't get healed right.
Because you didn't do the process of the correct healing. You didn't clean it. You didn't. Look at what he doing.
So when you're referring to your marriage, right? And you're trying to heal and restore your marriage, if there's been any type of infidelity in it, right?
But wait a minute. Before you even go into healing and restoring, the main one you got to start with is forgiving. Because you can't heal without forgiving.
Correct.
You can't restore something without forgiving your spouse.
Correct.
So you can be like, oh, we're going through a healing process, or we're going through this or that, but in the back of your mind, you still have not forgave your spouse for how they hurt you, or for what they did, or for just, like you said, the infidelity, or just arguing, or just anything,
Something where you just clash and you're not seeing eye to eye. You're not meeting on one accord.
Look what this says. Forgiveness is a critical element of a healthy marriage, because when you and I are living in the state of unforgiveness towards someone else, God says he will not live in a state of relational forgiveness with us. And that's Matthew 6:15. Once the spiritual relationship with God is broken or damaged because of ongoing sin, which is the forgiveness, you're not forgiving, so now you're just you don't have love, you're just not happy. We limit the experiential experience and power of God in our lives and in our marriage. It's not good. We limit. So when you don't forgive and you're going on, like you said, trying to heal, trying to do this, and be all extra lovey and spiritual and this and that, you still have that in your heart, and the next page goes over, it leads into bitterness.
Yes.
So now your heart, now you might have a cold heart towards your spouse. Now this is like when me and you I didn't forgive certain things. Anything will get me mad.
Right.
It could be a pencil on the floor. Why you didn't pick up? Why didn't because the bitterness is growing. Your heart is getting so cold, so hard towards your spouse, that now the blessings are not being there no more.
Correct.
So anyways, you're healing.
So let's go. I like when you say let's play devil's advocate.
Devil's advocate. You like that?
Yeah.
You like that?
All right, let's play that right now. So in the process of
I might need to turn this fan on.
Okay. She's been with the hotness.
Listen, guys, if I could have came on this live with my bikini, y'all would have got the whole belly. Look, I got some shorts on, belly all the way out.
So look, let's play devil's advocate. So say you're not healing something properly, right? Mm-hmm. What starts to happen? You start to get an infection, right?
Well, it starts like hurt.
It's the pain.
It starts getting red. Yeah. Like there's little baby steps.
Yeah. So
that leads into
infection, right? So it starts to get a little red. It starts to hurt a little bit more. It might spread. Mm-hmm. It
can spread.
It starts to look ugly and nasty, right? And so that's how the relationship can go. It starts to hurt more because of the forgiveness. The relationship starts to get a little nasty between the both of you guys, right? Because you're not on one accord. So now the relationship is starting to get nasty. Now, with it getting nasty, it's getting infection. Because now
they call it a festering sore.
Right.
If you continue walking around with the festering sore, you're highly sensitive and reactive to anything that came in contact with it.
So that's meaning right there. So say other people can start getting in your ear and talking bad about your whole situation. Now it's not just you and your spouse, it's other people that you're around that are starting to not really understand the dynamic of what your problem is. And now that wound,
that's what you just said.
That wound that was supposed to be getting healed is getting heightened and worsened.
Oh, look at this! Just like he's so smart. Unforgiveness is like an untreated wound in the soul. It boils over with the heat of bitterness and sets in motion, where small marital scuffles become large wars. That's Matthew 18:23.
So then, think about this, and I know about a little bit about infections through
this is Dr. Brandon. Y'all didn't know? Y'all didn't know my husband was a doctor? Man, he is thebomb.com. He'll tell you all of them.
I know from one of my grandparents that got a thing called gangrene. Once you get gangrene.
What is that?
Gangrene.
What is it though?
It's an infection in your body that once you get to that point, it's the point of no return. That means gangrene means You got an infection in your body, and now they have to cut off wherever the infection so it don't spread to the rest of your body. So now your relationship then got that toxic, then got that messy.
You gotta cut them.
It's untreated. It's infected with other people involved now, and never was healed. And now it's got to the point of gangrene of no return. We cannot resolve this because it's done got too bad, and now it's time to cut it off.
Tag. That was good. Talks about that. That's what this says at the end. It basically becomes like a harsh reaction. Then your spouse, you start lashing out, blaming, crying, saying and doing things we later regret. All the while, our spouses are caught off guard by our reactions. To overcome unforgiveness, we need to treat our wounds and let them heal. So treating, which is being forgiveful, forgiving, going into the healing process. And then you said that's how you end up restoring.
All right, so let's break that down.
Yeah, because once you're done, even if you heal it, like you're doing the process of the forgiveness process, or like you said, you're cleaning it, you're doing all the things, different steps, then you're going into, now your skin is going to start looking better.
Right.
Which is the restoring part.
So when you're healing, right, when you're healing your wound, the first thing that you want to do is forgiveness, right? So the first thing when you get a cut, what's the first thing you want to do?
Go clean it.
Go clean it. What do you clean it with? The best thing you can clean.
Alcohol you do?
Well, no, because that burns.
Oh, the other thing.
You want to clean it with water.
Oh, okay.
You want to rinse it off, right? And think about water now. Water is one of the purest things that we have on earth. So when you forgive, you got to forgive with a pure heart, right? So now you're cleaning the wound off.
Because it can lead to anger.
Right. So the wound done got dirty, right? It done got dirty. Now you got to wash it off, right? Or what we say in the South, rinse it off. But now you got to wash it off, right? So now you wash off the wound, right? Once you do that, and that's like the forgiveness. You got to wash it off with water. It's pure. Now you're forgiven.
But before you go into the forgiving, once you finally forgive and start healing to go to the restore, because in between that,
you got to talk about it.
Right, which that can go into right after before forgiveness, when you're doing the whole trying to heal, blah blah blah. There's something that really starts growing, like you said, the infection. What starts growing without you cleaning it, and the relationship is called anger. And that's a big thing. And I know Brenda's getting into the restoring part because we just processed the healing. But right before the healing, there's the part, there's the part that can grow. That can grow and can be really bad, which is the anger. And one of the worst things in marriage, when we're not forgiving and we have the anger, is, listen to this part. It says, I just had it. Hold on. I think I just changed the page by mistake. Where did it go? Hold on. Okay. Hold on. But what you do, right here, the prolonged buildup of anger in a marriage often provides Satan with the steering wheel to turn a problem into a stronghold. Unaddressed anger that has been allowed to accumulate over time will open the door for spiritual warfare to wreak havoc in your home.
Right.
So now the anger is leaving that little opportunity for the enemy, saying whatever you guys want to use, to come into your marriage, which is now going to block your process.
Right. So with the anger, when I look at that, when I correlate that with a healing of a wound, that's like stopping the bleeding.
That's good.
Because if you don't stop the bleeding, what happens?
It's gonna get like
you could bleed to death.
Yeah.
on any wound, you don't stop the bleeding, you're gonna eventually bleed to death, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and when we're talking about a wound or whatever, we're talking about something serious. You know, we're not talking about something that's small. We're talking about something that's major. So, right there, you want to stop the bleeding.
Right, which is the anger.
Which is the anger.
You want to take control of that, because if not, it says right here, one of the worst habits or patterns you can fall into a marriage is reacting. Because your anger, your emotions are so filled, you're not forgiving. The anger starts building. Now you're letting, it says right here, the entire decade has gone down on your marriage because you're so just caught up now. Now you're not even thinking of forgiving. Now you're just so angry. Now the anger, just look, when you live with unforgiveness, that bitterness and contempt seep into other relationships, perhaps through unkind words, lack of love, or any number of other ways. So now it's escalating to the treatment of your spouse. Like you were saying, now you got to cut it off soon because it's getting worse and worse. Now you're not even restoring the marriage, period, because you have so much anger.
Right.
And the buildup is not good. Like you said, if you don't clean it, you could bleed to death. Like you just let it just pour out.
So now you go into the forgiveness part, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the forgiveness is the main part of the restoration.
Mm-hmm.
Because what you're doing is you want to restore it. Now, this is the thing about restoration. This is the amazing thing. It correlates with so many things as far as having grace, being patient, having self-control. And this is the thing. You want to return back to the previous state it was before.
That's good.
So that's why it's a big deal. You want to get it back to the way it was before. You want to see what went wrong, why it went wrong.
Right.
So we can get this thing back to how we used to be.
That's good.
Right? Mm-hmm. So now, like Jennifer said, you do the forgiveness part.
This part is called release and replace.
And see, the forgiveness part comes from both of you guys.
Mm-hmm.
It don't come from just one side. If I did something, Jennifer could forgive me, right?
Right.
But at the same time, I gotta be also able to forgive myself.
That's good.
So I don't want to hold that on. I'm not taking it lightly, but still, how can I move forward if I haven't forgave myself? Especially if she haven't forgave me, how can I forgive myself? So it takes two to make that forgiveness process go. Especially if you're the one who committed whatever
the crime.
The crime.
You gotta, because if I forgive, but you're still holding it on yourself, you might not be able to restore the marriage with me,
and I might not be able to help us move on
or heal,
or
right? Because it takes two now. It takes two, like they say, it takes two to tangle. I believe, I'm a firm believer, and it's out there in research. You could see different things. Two is needed for everything, like in the marriage, like forgiveness, restoring, healing, communication. Intimacy, love, anything, just anything too. Because at the end of the day, which I want to call one of these calls. We need to. I always remember stuff like this when I'm talking. Is discussing teamwork, and I think we did this already. Teamwork, like it's two. Marriage is two. Well, really three. You know, me, you, and God, right?
Right.
So when it's just me restoring, or me healing, or me communicating, and you're beating yourself up, we're like half restoring the healing process.
Because see, like I said, if I don't forgive myself, then I'm carrying a burden on myself, and I'm like, I don't know if this is right or if this is wrong, and I'm second guessing myself now. I'm so second guessing myself because now I'm not even walking with confidence. I'm not even walking like I'm trustworthy. I'm at that point now. You kind of scared of yourself.
You start not trusting yourself. You start not believing. Like, can this marriage really work? Can she really forgive me? Now this is when the second part comes in. The thoughts and the process are coming in, and that's the enemy.
And this is Satan right here. That's when Satan starts messing with your mind, and then those are when he know he got you in the mind like that. Guess what happens? Those little tests get sprinkled out. Just to reassure that, oh no, you're not ready.
It's like you just said, the arguments become so toxic and volatile in their language and tone that they produce no good but drive a deeper wedge of division into the marriage.
Right.
So now maybe this is you, maybe this is me, maybe this is both of us, because the anger or the resentment or the lack of communication, the lack of trust. Just really trying to process and heal together. And honestly, listen, my thing is, I believe, another firm believing thing of mine, that, and I'm not saying it just because I'm a therapist, but I'm a high believer, besides, God first and certain mentors and things like that in marriage that you should seek guidance and all that from. I do believe marriage counseling helps.
So,
this whole thing of trying to restore your marriage on your own just with God, and I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm not saying that, because God can do anything and everything. The impossible. I'm not saying that, but I am saying a mediator that is mutual in person, because what if your spouse is not the godly spouse? What if your spouse doesn't want to restore with God first?
Right.
Or what if you're spiritual, he's not, he is, you're not, whatever, and the God first can only be on your side of, oh, I'm praying, I'm doing my best, I'm going to church, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and you might get involved, you might not. Honestly, therapy for marriage counseling, that might be a better route for some marriages that maybe the spouse is not into the spiritual journey or something. And even if they are, I think it's needed. Sure.
So now that you said the forgiveness part, I think that is the next part.
What?
Far as to healing and repairing and restoration is the counseling. Like you said. So now we forgave.
Mm-hmm.
What's the next move? To seek counseling, right?
Yep.
So now the next move,
which is multiple things. Yeah. It's God, is mentors, is therapists, is
correct.
Even if it's marriage retreats, if it's conferences, like there's so much. You know how they say it takes a village to raise the kids and all that. Well, it takes a community to help grow and heal and have a healthy marriage.
Correct. And so that process would be, now you're medicating the wound.
Oh,
right?
Dr. Brandon.
We're medicating.
You sure you want to go to medical school?
So now we're medicating the wound, right?
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? When you put medicine on, what happens? It might burn a little bit.
Right.
Because you might have to revisit that issue. So it might sting, but at the end of the day, it's there to help you and to heal you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So certain things might come out in those counseling sessions. Some things might come out.
Yeah.
And what those things are coming out.
This is where the release part comes in.
Right. So they're coming out so you guys can correct the whole situation.
Release, forgive, and let go. Now, I know some people are like, well, I can't forget. No, we're not saying forget. We're just saying forgive. It starts with you. It starts with him. It starts with the healing process. It starts with, we both are in this together. We're going to restore our marriage. We're going to work towards, like you said, how we were.
Right.
And of course, listen, like Brandon's talking about the cut. The cut, some of these cuts, it might not ever go back to the clear skin. You might have, I might have I don't even know where I have a cut or something.
Like I got a burn from when I was.
Like right here, it's not going to be young. The clear, perfect, smooth skin, but you might have a little rough patch. You might have a little bit of a scar. You might have a little bit of a bump. You still have something, but you're working through the process of healing and getting your skin back to how it was. You're medicating. What are you doing? You're taking steps. You're taking care of it. You're not just like, oh, forgive you and I'm happy, you're happy, let's move forward. No, because that's not a healing process. Because if you talk about a healing process, there's steps to healing. The same way there's steps to the grief process, there's steps to healing in yourself, in marriage, and whatever.
So now that you're medicating the wound, right?
And not on your own. I don't care. And all y'all could come at me and say, "Oh, I do it by myself. I don't need this. I don't need that. You know, I'm connected. I pray every day. I talk to God." It don't matter. Like, I talk to God all the time too, but a mediator, a mentor, a married, like, there's no such thing as, like, for example, like Brandon saying, medicating. They wouldn't have invented or made doctors if they weren't really needed. Right? They go to school, they study these things. They wouldn't have marriage counselors, marriage therapists, marriage specialists, trauma specialists, like different things that help in these specific areas to help the healing process. Because, again, I go back to, what if your spouse doesn't hear from God right now? What if he doesn't know what that is, or she doesn't know? Like, I didn't know what that was until recently. I started learning more. I wasn't hearing nothing. I was like, Brandon, I don't hear him tell me anything. What is he telling you? Because Brandon was more spiritual than I was. And he still is, I believe, sometimes.
So then, now that you just medicated with getting the help of, counselors, therapists, and stuff like that.
Resources.
The next thing about a wound is, once you medicate it, what do? They tell you, hey, don't put nothing on this besides this. Guess what that is?
If you cheated, don't let nobody else hop on it. No, sir.
No. Guess what that is? That is called boundaries.
Ow.
Now we setting boundaries. You okay?
That was a rough one.
He hear me talking, so he like, hey, what up?
Man.
All right, so now we're setting boundaries, right? Just like anything that happens, even an accident or something, what they got to do, they got to set off the perimeter. They got to set off the boundaries so nobody else get hurt, right? Again. So this is when you just said the therapist and everybody come involved. Now we medicated the wound, and they saying don't put nothing on it right now, okay? We got to set these boundaries so it can heal properly, right? So now you got boundaries in your marriage to keep you away from certain temptations that you can't resist, or certain things that can reopen the wound, right? So now that you got these boundaries in place with the therapist, with counselors, with advisories, relationship advisory, with God even put these boundaries in your life.
Well, look what he put. I've been in counseling sessions with some couples who bring up things that were said or done not years ago, but decades ago. Right? When I hear this, it happens so often. I sigh inside, because I know that the roots of bitterness, which is you saying they didn't medicate, the bitterness and unforgiveness run deep. I also know that Satan has been allowed to run the show in their marriage. That's so good. Because, listen, I've seen it. Like I said, I've done marriage counseling. I've done couple counseling. I've seen the marriage. I have someone in my family. I've seen it. 20, 30 years down the line, yes, they're still married. Yes, things have moved forward. But every so often, when the argument happens, the situation that maybe happened 15 years ago, 10, 20, whatever years ago, might creep in. Why? Because the full process of forgiveness has not been cleared, has not been healed. It might have been like, oh yeah, I forgive him, we're still together, we're moving forward, or I forgive her, we're moving forward. But did you really do the correct healing process? Did you really focus on what are the steps for you to get better, for your marriage to get better, right? It says, making the stronghold ever more formidable to tear down the marriage. So all these decades, that bitterness, the unforgiveness is just harming the marriage more and more. What do I mean by harming it? I mean, like, your marriage being at full potential hasn't happened. And a lot of people don't realize that even if it's a year later, you still haven't forgiven, or 2-3 years later, or whatever it is, 6 months, your full potential or your full blessings in marriage has been blocked.
Right. And like I said, it goes back to those boundaries. Have you set boundaries now? This offense has been created towards you, right? And it's not saying that, oh, I'm controlling you because, oh, you did that. Oh, no, you're not doing nothing by yourself no more. You're not going this place, you know what I mean? So now you have, like I said, you setting boundaries. And the reason why boundaries are set is also a motion of gaining trust.
Yeah. Even if it's the simplest thing.
Even if it's the simplest thing.
It doesn't have to necessarily be adultery or just having opposite sex friends that maybe led to other, maybe flirting. It's not just that. It could be anything. Like, you could have been just upset at your spouse for maybe talking to you bad. Yeah. Like, that's a good one. It's not just about the adultery here, guys. Like, one of the biggest things in marriage is that I know we deal with it a couple times because my mouth can be a little bit feisty. It was worse, but, God is still working on me. Yeah. So sometimes it can be not good. And even Brandon, every now and then, y'all might think he's a soft, quiet guy, but he's a gangster dude. Like, he will cut throat real quick. He's a sweetheart, but y'all know them people that are quiet, they're sweet pies, and they smile. But then when they come through, they're going to cut you up. So the words in a marriage that can be hurtful and disrespectful and hard, that's a good, big forgiveness situation.
Yeah, the verbal abuse can get really rough.
Well, you're going to say all that now.
I call it verbal because it is verbal abuse. It is.
Which is not good. Right. It's not bueno. So restoring and healing that, like really understanding forgiveness, man, like it's rough. Because like when forgiving words are hard. Forgiving words, like, because like, man, this person's so angry. He said this or she said that. This is my spouse. And it's like, I really got to forgive what he just said. Like, that was not nice. But you do. It's grace and forgiveness, right?
So now, going back to the healing part.
Oh, here goes the doctor.
Yes. Going back to the healing part. Now you set boundaries. Now, what you want to do is with those boundaries, you want to place the bandage back.
Well, I got a question when it comes to the healing, which is one of the parts that's next, which I didn't get into yet. What happens when the spouse does not apologize?
You haven't moved past the first steps. The steps got to be in order. You haven't created this.
No. Like, what if you haven't apologized? Do I still do the steps of, forgiveness and healing, and you have not apologized?
I think.
How does that work?
Well, that's the thing. If they haven't apologized, evidently they recognize that it's not a mistake in their eyes.
So I'm going to answer that really quick before he responds. There has been scenarios, y'all, that even before Brandon apologizes to me when he tries to cut through really quick, I pray. I go and pray, and I'm just like, okay, God, like, I know I got to forgive him and give him grace and all that stuff because I really be wanting to cut him back, right? But I already forgive a few times because if it's up to Brandon, this dude will say sorry 3 days later, a week later. He might forget, like, oh, I didn't tell her sorry the other day, my bad, So for me, I try usually that same night to pray about it. He probably don't even know this, but I usually try that same night. Like, even though, even if I do cry or, y'all know I'm emotional, especially with hormones, I be thinking all type of stuff about him, and he's like, don't even know what I'm talking about. Like, I didn't mean that. Like, well, it's not what you meant, it's how I feel, okay? So, but before even the day is over, I do pray about it. I do. And we've gotten better, especially you. Like, you've gotten better where if it is something that upset or hurt me, I think it's been maybe 9 out of 10 times.
Let me tell
you'll come to me.
Okay. So, look.
Tell you what.
Let me tell you how this works, right?
I'm about to put the air on for y'all.
Let let me tell you how this worked. So she just let you know that she prayed about the situation, right?
Because I need assistance before I cut your throat off.
All right. She prayed about the situation.
Well, not cut it off, but you know what I mean.
Now me, being the stubborn one at times,
very
felt like I didn't say or do anything wrong, right?
Y'all would have thought I was the stubborn one. I'm not.
So, as I go about my day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is the thing about me, right? So this is when you got that relationship with God.
Mm.
So I'm talking to God.
So this is like during the day?
This is me and God have conversations all throughout.
No, I'm saying like you talking about this was early, if this was later.
Yeah, it don't matter when. You know, it's those conversations that you have with God. If you should be having conversations with God.
No, I know. I'm just saying like I was trying to get a whole picture. Like, did we argue at night? Was it in the morning?
It don't even matter.
Yeah, never mind.
It don't even matter when we argue, right? But you already prayed for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I start feeling like, man, that I was wrong, right?
Mm.
And this is what happens to me. This is funny, right?
He gets convicted.
I get convicted and I say, man, God, I'm sorry, man. And God is like, why you telling me? Go tell her. And I'm like, oh man. So I'm like, and see, this is the
and it's funny because it's so hard for Brandon. I'm like,
this
why
is the relationship,
so hard?
And then it's like I'm praying to God. I'm like, God, look, and this. So she praying about it, right? And I'm praying like, God, forgive me. And God is like, in my head, he's like, dude, I already forgave you. The person that you need to be asking for forgiveness is your wife. And I'm like, oh man, this is like, and it's like right there on your mind, it's on your spirit, and it's like your spirit is not sitting right until you go make that apology back and tell her that like my day is not. It's like my day is at a standstill spiritually. Until it's like God's like, hold up, man, I'm gonna pause on you for a second. I'm gonna put you in pause until you go apologize to your wife. You don't need to be apologizing to me. You need to go apologize to your wife. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to say it.
Right, and then he used to try to get away with the text sorry. I used to be like, ain't nobody, we're not doing no text sorry.
So that's the thing. When you got that relationship and that intimacy, and you got that relationship with God, and you talking to him like, man, I know I was wrong for that. And you're like, well, you need to go tell the person you was wrong for, because I already know you knew what you were doing was wrong.
Yeah, and I do notice when Brandon gets like really, really convicted, because like even before he'll go to work or even at like before bed, or he'll be like, babe, and sometimes I'll be like, is it even genuine, or are you just that convicted? You know, because sometimes I feel like because he's so convicted, he just wants to get it off his chest. Like once I get it off and tell her, the conviction kind of goes away. And I do sometimes I talk to him about it. Like, okay, well, tell me, like, because it's not just, oh, I'm sorry, and then conviction's gone. No, we're gonna be like, what happened, or what do you mean? And lots of times he'll like tell me all these things. But I know it's more of a healing at that time.
So this is the thing, right? So now that you healed the wound with, you know, you medicate it, you put the boundaries, they say don't touch it, leave this stuff on there. Now you putting on the wrap, now you bandaging it up. What is that called? That is called what? Redating each other. That's called establishing the trust. That's called date nights again. That's called, you know, going and hanging out, finding out what your spouse love again. That's called, you know, learning more about my wife, learning more about my husband. See, when you put the Band-Aid on now, it's getting it to that point of where we talked about, which is the topic is restoration, is returning to the previous state it was before.
Or better.
Or better.
Because nothing is going to be exactly the same. It can be similar or it can be better. Lots of times during this process, the healing and all that, you want to go for better.
Yes.
You want to work out, because technically you want to figure out, like, especially if it's a verbal scenario. You guys get into it, blah, blah, blah. You want to figure out, okay, now we're going to heal, we're going to get better. What did we not do that time that made this go down?
And this is what happens. And people say, well, how can it get better after something happen really deep or rough like that. The way it gets better is because that past, you didn't get the treatment or the value. Now they really value who you are. Right? Now they really putting you first. At first you was just kind of there. You know what I'm saying? You was kind of there. I'm not saying that they walking on eggshells or anything like that, but you was just kind of there at that point. But the way it got better now is now you're there, but they value you so much, and they value so much that they invested in. It's like somebody took their 401k out and made the wrong mistake and took it out too early, right?
Like, but again, I go back to it takes two. If I'm restoring and healing and you're not, and you're just the same old spouse, not really caring, being a jerk, kind of going day by day, not being involved, if it's a whole different ballpark, that there's no way this can get better, but probably worse, or if not the same, and I'm over here like healing, restore, love, and this and that. Again, like, counseling needs to be done.
Right. And that's the thing. And like I said, when it gets better, you never know. Like I said, the relationship, sometimes something has to happen for somebody to even get closer to God. And it might be something traumatic like that in your relationship. And what brings it out,
like letting it cut off,
what brings it out to make it better is, now that I appreciate the value in, my wife, and she's not just there no more, she sees how much it changed me to be a better man. She like, before this happened, he wasn't even walking the walk or talking the talk.
And then he comes up to me, tries to grab his thing and be like, hey.
Now he's walking the walk, talking the talk. He's in his spiritual walk. He like, and it's like, man, I think I remarried a new person.
That's what you be thinking?
I'm saying that's situations where they feel like, now I remarried. Man, this is not the guy. This is not the woman I married.
And then the sex gets even more turned up, because the intimacy is more, maybe the connection you never had, or that you lost, or you haven't had for a while, comes back or gets better. Like, right. I've heard scenarios like that, like, for years, because of the unforgiveness, the bitterness, the resentful, until they finally release and let that go, and both of them are working towards it together. Now it's even more connection intimately, not just sexually, but just everything.
And then the final step.
That's it, babe, because I'm high and this baby's going crazy. It's hurting.
We're going to wrap it up right here. And the final step is, now that you done did date night and you gaining trust and stuff, now you can take the bandage off, right? And guess what? The best thing about it, you're able to tell your testimony of what happened. Now you see the wound. Yeah, it's there. This what happened. But we got past it. We still living. We still clicking. Now you are a disciple for other couples who are going through that same situation. Now you can talk to somebody that haven't dealt with it yet. Now you going helping them go through their process. Now you delivering other people because of what you went through, right? Now you do this stuff. Now you delivering people, and you can say, "Hey, look, you see this wound right here? You both can talk about the wound, and guess what? It don't hurt no more."
Now you're walking around grabbing on his thing everywhere you go.
So now that
getting pregnant for the third time.
Now that everything is healed, you can talk about the war room in y'all marriage that y'all moved past and y'all got through.
What's the war room at?
No more bandage. It's healed. It's not infected. It's back. The skin is back on. It was a stage in our marriage where we both messed up. Now we could talk about it, and we can live
and we learn and do better and grow from it. Not the same nonsense every 2 years, every 1 week, every 6 months.
and we're not ashamed to talk about it. It's exposed now and it's healed.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna tell you like this. I just want to reference to somebody's story that kind of goes off of this.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we got 1 minute.
And it's our pastor, Montel Jordan. He talked about how his marriage was when he was in the game, in the industry,
which no one knew,
and his wife, and that was a great testimony that a lot of people can learn from. If you haven't heard the story,
some people still don't know.
Check out his story.
Some people don't know. They got a church. They were head head pastors in the music ministry at our church for years, and he left the music world into Christian music kind of thing.
Yeah. And see, how do you think his wife feel now that he's so deep into the Word of God?
I told you, I bet you they be going in.
You silly.
They got. Well, I'm serious because they got like a 10-year-old and he's like 100. No, he's older. He's like 50. I think he just turned 50.
He gonna be bad.
He's still fine. Hey pastor, and I'm even calling pastor. Hey Montel. Shoot, Brandon knows. I'm like, listen, that's a fine brother right there. But anyways, but still, they talk about their testimony. I think they said like their togetherness is better now than ever.
Yeah.
Because of what they went through, what their healing was, what the journey, and how they, like you said, they took for each other for granted before.
Yeah, and
what he did with her.
And that was a good testimony in their story. If you could check out their story, it was very great, and that kind of explains right there what they went through, and they're doing the thing.
I know we're gonna be at their house one day. And
they're
gonna feature us, and we're gonna feature them. So if you hear me, I know you follow me, Montel and wife Kristen. I know you do. I love y'all. Congratulations.
Yes.
So anyways, all right. So that was tonight because I'm hot, and I gotta go.
So with this call, I hope you guys got a lot of great value. I hope you guys got some key points. If you're going through any situations like this right here, Speak up, DM us. We're able to hold an open session with you one time, and then just go from there and just discuss, a little bit of the situation.
Oh, another thing, our church is doing date night coming up in March, a marriage conference.
And we're doing a marriage conference, which we always go to marriage conference to get a little extra sauce to bring back to you guys as well.
And to build our marriage, to get better, to grow, because like I said, the resources in the marriage is really important.
Yeah.
So I gotta ask my doctor about these pains.
The way he moving?
Yeah, he asked me last time, you getting contractions? I was like, no, I don't know what's happening, but it is rough, guys, like for real, like it hurts. But anyways, can you pray out, please?
Yes. Again, hope you guys got great value.
Oh wait, his favorite part. Follow us on what?
Instagram on marriage.p.o.r.n.
He loves it.
Stands for Pure, Open, Renew, and Navigate, guys.
You're gonna be the headliner of our commercial. You know that?
So yeah, stay tuned to us. Follow us on YouTube, Barker Family. If you see our stories, you can scan the QR code. That'll take you directly to our page.
Share, like, subscribe.
Like and subscribe. We also got some short clips. Mommy right here be doing the most funniest little short stories.
So funny.
And stuff. You just gotta see her.
She's be catching Brandon.
Yeah. So again, we're gonna go ahead and pray out.
Yes, thank you, Jesus.
Spirit of the living God, thank you for just blessing us with this topic today. I think this topic was needed, especially coming to the close of the end of the month of February. We're going into the third month of the year. And if anybody that's going through this situation, God, I just hope they're able to open their ears to this call and listen out, because this was you, God, just speaking through me and my wife and just delivering this message to people that are watching. And I pray that it can heal and restore somebody's marriage out there that is listening. Maybe they can have a better understanding. Maybe they can know how to translate the pain and the hurt that they're going through to their spouse, Father. We pray that you continue to keep healing marriages around the world, and that we continue to be a voice around the world for people to hear. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen. Somebody commented on our YouTube. If the relationship fails, don't blame only her. It takes two people mess it up. Blame her and her mother. That's a good one.
Yes.
So it takes two to tango. And also, guys, stay tuned. We might have a surprise guest tomorrow night. An amazing couple, amazing marriage. They've been together almost 30 years. They've been together. Been married about almost 20. Stay tuned. We are waiting for confirmation, and it's gonna be incredible because they are amazing people. They have amazing careers in the police industry, correctional industry, law enforcement. Both of them, they have a college student, a high school student. It's a great dynamic, some trials, some tribulations, but they're incredible. And I'm excited. She's going to confirm tonight. Okay. So we're just waiting because, thank you. They said, great job, guys. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
They're going to confirm tonight because, like I said, they're in the law enforcement field, so they got to just make sure timing and days and stuff are available. So we let y'all know. We're going to put the flyers up, hopefully. Fingers crossed it's a yes for tomorrow. And stay tuned.
Yes.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all. Good
Have
night.
a blessed night. Follow, share, subscribe. Love y'all. Have a blessed one. See y'all maybe mañana. So, ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.